Hey guys, welcome to this first episode of Built on Azure series. So in this episode, we are going to use one of the latest services that Azure has released, which is static web hosting. So during end of June, Azure had made this announcement where they have released static web hosting for Azure storage in public preview. So this is one of the most awaited features for Azure. So now people can start deploying their static web applications without paying for compute. So earlier to this release, one of the major option is to go for app services, use app service plan to host their web application, but still again you have to pay for the compute. But with this, no compute, 100% serverless. And if you want to hook your front end with a back end, you can use Azure Functions as well. So you can build a total serverless application with the release of this feature. So let's get started. So by the end of this tutorial, you will be able to use a custom domain with HTTPS or SSL and host your Angular application. So the first thing you have to do is go to portal.azure.com and log into your account. So once you are logged in, you need to create a storage account. You can find it here, or if you go to all services and under storage, you will find storage account. Okay, so let's create a new storage account by clicking add button here, and you have to fill in this form. First, you have to select your subscription. So in my case, I have a free trial subscription, and then you can choose the resource group. In Azure, everything is in a resource group for manageability. So in this case, you can either create a new resource group or you can use existing one. So let me create a new resource group here. So it will ask for the name here. I will enter a name like serverless group, okay, and hit OK. So all the services that I spin up for my application will be in this particular resource group. So I can delete them if I want at once. Now for the storage account, let me give it a name, static web account. For the location, okay, Central US is fine for me. Performance, you can choose the standard or premium. I will choose standard. And guys, for the account type, make sure you have selected the latest one, storage version 2. So this is where new features are available for you. So make sure you select general purpose version 2 or storage version 2. And replication, so I will fall back to local redundant storage to save some cost. And access tier, yeah, hot is fine because we are going to host our web application. It has to be frequently accessed. And I will click next and keep the default for secure transfer required. And virtual network, I will keep the default for all networks as well. And click next for tags. You can add a tag if you want. So I'm not going to do that. And click next. And review your configuration. If it's all right, click create. So that will start creating the storage account. So give it few minutes. I will pause the video and come back once it is done. So still our deployment is underway. So while it is configuring it, so while it is processing, oh, actually it is completed right now. Very good. So let's go to the resource. This is my static web account storage account. So the next thing that you need to do here is to enable static web hosting. So inside your storage account, you should see static website preview. Select this, and then it's just a matter of clicking enable. Okay, then it will ask for what is the index document that you want to serve when a user visit this site. So we'll call it its index.html. And what about the error page? So I will call it error.html. So we need to upload these two files. So for now, let's click save. So while it's saving, let me open up a terminal or a command prompt if you're on Windows. And I will navigate to desktop and create a new folder, my web. And I will cd into my web and I will open it in Visual Studio Code by typing code space period. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code installed, please go for it. And now it has opened my project in Visual Studio Code. So let's create those two files. Let me click new file and name it index.html and also another file error.html, right? So index.html, let me double click. So I will type exclamation mark and it will give me an code sample here. So if I just select this one in Visual Studio Code, it will give you a stub for a simple HTML file. So for the title, let me change it to my site. Oh, my awesome site. In the body tag, let me put a h2 tag and type hello world. Okay, now let me go to error.html and exclamation mark and select the simple template and I will type error for the title and another h2 tag something is wrong. So our website will serve our HTML site, and if there's any wrong or any issue, it will serve the error HTML file. So that is the idea. So now we need to upload these two files into our storage account. So let me switch back to our Azure portal. Can you see it has given me another primary endpoint to view our web application? Let me just copy it and open it in a new window. So at this moment it says there's nothing there because we haven't uploaded those two files. So where do we have to upload it? Let me go to the portal again. So it says an Azure storage container has been created to host your website. So by default, Azure has provisioned this particular container or a place to host our web application called $web. Now if you click this, it will take you to this particular container, or else you can go to your overview section and select the container there. And you can see now we are inside the $web container. So this is the place we need to upload our files. Now let me click upload. So it will open up upload blob window. And for the file section, let me click browse, and I will go to my desktop and select the folder I created. And these are my two files. Let me select both of them by pressing shift and click open. And for the authentication type, select SaaS because we are not going for auth right now. And we can change it if we want later on, and click upload. Okay, I think those files are now uploaded. If you look at our container now, we have these two files. So shall we go to our web endpoint and hit refresh? So let's check if it works. Yes, you can see our index HTML is being served. So how about our error HTML? Now let me go to a route that does not exit something. There you go. We have our error document. Now as you can see, this URL is a very ugly URL. So instead of that, we'll configure a custom domain so that when you type the custom domain, it will show our website. So in order to do that, we need to have a domain. So let me type free domains into Google. So by the way, if you have already bought a domain from GoDaddy or any other domain provider, you can use that. So in this case, let's go for a free domain. And this site, .tk site. So I'm at www.tk. And there, let me log into this website by clicking here. And I will use my social login, Google or Facebook. You can use either of that. Let me click services and select register a new domain. So here I can find my domain. Let's say my awesome Azure site if it is available. Well, it seems it's available. So I have a .tk domain which is free. So now I can click get it now. So it is checking. Now it is selected. Let's click checkout. Alright, so they are giving this for free for 3 months. Let's continue it. Fill in the details and click complete order. Okay, your order is confirmed. Now you can click here to go to the client area of this free norm website, and there select services again. Click my domains. Since we have already bought one, it should list here. You can see this is the one I just bought. So this one I previously bought it. So how do we now link this website to our Azure static website? So it is very easy. If you go to the Azure portal again, you can go to the storage account by clicking here. And somewhere down here you should see custom domain. Click on that. So it has given me the instructions. So how to do the configuration on the custom domain. So either I can create a CNAME record pointing to this particular address, but that will give me some downtime. But in our case, it's not a problem because we are now creating it as a brand new domain name. So what we need to do, we have to create a CNAME record in our domain provider and point that CNAME record to this address. So let me copy this address first. I will click here and copy it. So let me zoom it in a little bit. So this is the address you need to copy. And I will go to my client area here. I will select manage domain and I will select manage freenom DNS. So basically managing our DNS records. And the name is basically awesome Azure site.tk and it should be targeted to the one we just copied. I will paste this one and I will copy my domain name from here and I will paste it here. And make sure it is not a type A, it is a C name because it is an address, right? Yeah, then do the save changes. Alright, so record is added successfully. So it will take a couple of minutes to do the DNS propagation. So until such time you cannot access it. So you're gonna have to wait for some time. So after that you should be able to type in my awesome site or whatever the name that you have given to your domain, custom domain, and then it should show your hello world website. But still, we don't have SSL set up. So that means it will not be served through HTTPS. Instead, it will be an HTTP site. In Google, you will get low ranking if you have HTTP website instead of HTTPS. So it's always better to go for SSL. So how can we do that? You cannot attach a SSL certificate right from here or right from your storage account, but instead you're going to have to use Azure CDN. Basically, you need to set up a CDN in front of your static web application. So when a user is requesting for your website, the request first goes to CDN. So it will first check whether the website content is cached at the CDN level. If it can find it in the cache, it will serve from the CDN or it will serve from the edge, we call it, and it will be quite fast. And if it is not in the cache, it will go to the origin or our $web container and fetch the index file or all the website files and come back to the CDN, do the caching at CDN level, and then serve it to the users. So the next time users are requesting for the website, it will be served from the cache or the CDN because it has already cached it in the previous request, which is very fast. So in order to apply our custom domain, we have to apply the SSL certificate at the CDN level. So our SSL termination will happen at CDN. So how can we go about doing that? So when you are in the storage account, you will be able to find Azure CDN here. We can use that obviously, but there's a small problem. Let me show you. If you select Azure CDN here, you can create a CDN profile. So inside the CDN profile, we can have the CDN endpoints like this. But look at this. Origin hostname is now logged into our storage account domain. We cannot do any change here. But in order to serve our static web application, we should select it as a custom origin and then provide the endpoint of our website. Now, this URL or this hostname of our storage account is not the hostname of our static website. Static website endpoint is different. So this is the endpoint of the storage account, which will not work. So in order to get our static web application working, we have to link the endpoint of our website. So where can we find the endpoint? If you go to static website here, you should see the new endpoint that Azure has created for us, right? So this is the domain that we need to link to the CDN. So we cannot do that if you select the Azure CDN inside the storage account. So how can we do that? So we can go out of the storage account and select all services again. And under networking, you should see CDN profiles. Select this. Here you can create a new CDN profile by clicking add and give it a name. I will call it web CDN, subscription, free trial, and the resource group, since this is belonging to our serverless group, I will select the serverless group, resource group, US Central 1 pricing tier. I will go for the standard version because it supports custom domains. And check this button, create a new CDN endpoint now. You can give a name to your CDN endpoint. This could be anything. Web CDN. Let's see if that is available. Nope, it does not. Awesome site. Yeah, that is available. So myawesomesite.azureedge.net is the endpoint of our CDN. And this is the one I want to focus, the origin type. Select this one and click custom origin. For the origin host name, you need to copy paste the endpoint of your static website. If you don't remember it, you can open the storage account in a new tab, or I will open this whole thing in a new tab because I've totally forgotten it. I will click my storage account from here and go to static websites and copy the URL. You don't have to copy the HTTPS part, just the domain name. Copy that and go back to the previous tab and paste it in. You can remove the last slash. Okay, so you remove the HTTPS and this is your DNS or this is your host name and everything seems good. I will click create. So it will take few minutes to provision your CDN. So after this is being created, you can configure a custom domain, the domain that we have previously configured to work with our CDN level, and also we can add SSL certificate which is managed by Azure. Let me pause the video and come back real quick. Alright guys, so now our CDN is configured. Now you can see it is up and running. The status is running. Now let me just click onto this. So here you can see the endpoint. So now our endpoint is configured here. So if I just click and copy the endpoint and open it in a web browser, Let's see if that points to our website. It looks like it does. So hello world is rendered. Okay, so the main reason why we went for CloudFront distribution is, one of the reasons why we went for a CloudFront distribution is to add a custom domain. So we'll do that. So I will go back to the My Awesome Site CDN, and there you should see the custom domain button. Just click on that to add a custom domain, and it has picked up the endpoint of the CDN, and here we have to specify the custom domain. So let's go to our client area, and this is our domain that we are planning to connect. So at the moment it says the request is invalid, so that's fine. Let me just copy the domain name and come back to here and paste it in, and let me just take out HTTP, and we got an error. Well, it says that it could not find the DNS record for our custom domain that points to the CDN. So let's do that. So how can we do it? We will go to our client area, and I will click manage domain, and there manage DNS. So at this moment we have added a DNS record, a CNAME record that points to our container. But now that we have the CDN in front of our container, so we have to change this, or we'll delete this record and we'll add a new target, which is our CDN endpoint. So let me just delete this one. Okay, the record is successfully deleted. Now let me add this one again. So which is the root domain or domain apex, and I will create another CNAME record that targets our CDN endpoint. So where can we find that? So this is our CDN endpoint. Let me just copy the latter part of the URL and come back to client area, and let me paste that, and afterwards I will click save changes. Okay, good. Now the record is added successfully, but this will again take some time, about 15 to 20 minutes or maybe 24 hours, so that depends, to do this DNS propagation. So we just gonna have to be a little patient here. Alright, now it is resolved. So it took me about 10 to 15 minutes for that DNS resolution. Now you can see there's a small green tick. And now you can click add. So it starts creating the custom domain. So again, it will take some time. Let me pause the video and come back once done. It got created successfully. So now under custom domain, you should see our custom domain here. Now let me click this, and our main purpose is to configure HTTPS right now. So under configure, let's click on and then click save. When I click save, then we'll start adding the SSL certificate into my domain. So for that, it has these 4 steps to complete. So these 4 steps will be automatically handled by Azure. So we just have to wait for this. So the first step has already started, which is submitting the request, and then it will start doing the domain validation, and afterwards it will provision the resource, and afterwards it will provision the certificate, and finally it will be completed. So we need to wait until this is completed. So let me pause the video again and come back once this is completed. Okay, well, it took me about 6 hours to complete this whole status thing. So don't be surprised if it took more than that, no more than a day or so. But one thing you have to make sure is the domain validation part. You have to make sure that your domain is pointing to the CNAME that we have previously configured. Otherwise, it will be stopped at this place forever. You will get an error at this stage. So be patient until this is completed. Might take a day or so. Alright, so once this is completed, you can go back to your CDN by clicking here, and you should see the custom HTTPS is enabled now. Now, if you visit our site, in my case, myawesomeazure-site.tk with HTTPS, so you should see the site is served through HTTPS and the hello world message. Very nice. But we won't do something more. We'll try to host Angular application in the same manner. So I will go back to my Visual Studio Code editor. Right now we have this index.html and error.html. Let me remove these files. I will delete them from here, and this one also I'll delete it. Instead, I'm going to generate an Angular application. So I have installed Angular CLI. You can go to angularcli.com and install the CLI here by running npm install angular CLI. And then we are going to generate a new application with ng-new command. Let me go back to my Visual Studio Code, and I will type ng-new my app and hit enter. And in the same manner, you can generate a React application or Vue.js application or any other front-end application using a CLI or any other setup. I'm generating an Angular application. Okay, now Angular application is installed, and if you go into my app folder, you should see all the files. But we are not going to upload all these files into our container. Instead, we will upload the built files because those are the HTML, JavaScript, and CSS file that browser can read. So now let's build our application. Let me clear the screen. I will go into my app folder, cd my app, and I'm going to use ng build command with prod flag. So this will build our project with production optimized settings. So let's give it a second. That should create a dist folder here. Okay, my build is completed. You can see the dist folder here. And inside the dist folder, you should see a lot of files. Now we need to upload these files into our $web container. How can we do that quite easily? Well, Microsoft Azure has released an extension for Visual Studio Code. So via this extension, we can easily upload our content to $web folder. Let me show you guys. If you go to extensions in Visual Studio Code, this particular icon, you can search for Azure Storage. So this is the extension. So right now I have already installed it, but in your case, a small install button should appear here. Click that. So once that is installed, reload your Visual Studio Code and then you're good to go. After the installation, you should see this particular icon here. It says Azure. So click on that. Now you can select this particular icon. So saying deploy to static website, click this and now it will start connecting to your Azure account. Now, if you have not configured your Azure storage account with Visual Studio Code, it will prompt you to enter the access key where you can easily find from your Azure portal storage account properties. Let me show you guys. If you go to your storage account and select your storage account here, and you should see the access key settings. Click on that, then multiple keys will be appearing here. Just select the key 1 or key 2 key and also the name of the Azure storage account. So you can easily configure that in the wizard that prompts in Visual Studio Code. So once you have successfully connected, then it will show your subscription and now it will ask me to select the Azure storage account. So in my case, it is static web account. I will select that. Afterwards, it will ask me, okay, browse the folder that I want to upload the files from. So click on browse. Then you can go to your my app folder because inside this folder we got all these files, right? JS, index.html, CSS, etc. So click open. Then it will prompt me, okay, do I need to delete any things that is available inside $web container? Because we have index and array HTML files, so we'll delete it and redeploy with our new files. So I'll select delete and deploy. So towards the bottom you can see it starts uploading it and now it is completed. So it has given me the endpoint of my $web static website. I can use that one to browse it. So let me click browse to the website. That should open up the endpoint of my $web container or our static web application endpoint. There we go. Now our application is up and running in our $web container. But still again, if we go to our custom domain and try to refresh it, it might not show it directly. So in my case, it showed it directly, but for some reason, if it's still showing the hello world message, what you can do is you can easily go to your CDN account, go to home and select the web CDN or any other name that you have given and click purge. So this will take away all the cached contents and always take the content from the origin or our $web container. So afterwards, your Angular applications must be served through your custom domain. Alright, so this is what I want to show you guys and I hope you enjoy this. Hey, by the way, if you want to see the exact process, how to host a static web application in AWS and link a custom domain with HTTPS, I will post a link in the description section. Thanks.